My name is Alexander Pershai. I'm an equity, diversity, and inclusion researcher here at Fanshawe College. I self-identify as a non-binary polygender queer person. My gender identity is non-binary polygender, which means that I have more than one gender, and they not necessarily belong on the gender binary spectrum. So I combine features of masculinity, femininity, and something else that is not clearly defined by culture. In terms of my sexual orientation or sexual identity, I identify as queer. I am not constrained by the heteronormative society, let's put it this way. I grew up as a gender non-conforming child, so I was mistaken for a girl until I got my puberty, and then after that I was bashed and called names and bullied at school for just being weird and queer. I couldn't understand why people are so hostile and aggressive just because I'm different, but apparently my gender identity was much more important to other people than it was to myself. And then later on, as time went by, I was slowly coming to terms and understanding, like, okay, so I guess I'm not exactly straight. And then it was sort of opening more and more and more and more, because I mean, my variation of being queer is, I think it's closer to being polysexual. So I'm not defined by being attracted to one gender. I'm attracted to different type of people. So basically, if you're a good person, chances are we can get along. But yeah, it comes down to personality for me all the time. It's always about the personality. The second important part of self-identification happened a couple of years ago when I finally come to terms that I am actually non-binary. Because I grew up in Eastern Europe, and growing up there, like, we have just very clear and rigid definitions of sexuality and gender identity. When I was coming of age, there was no such language that allowed me to define myself as non-binary. When I understood actually that I can call myself non-binary, and there is a name, there is a category for that I actually exist, you know, in terms of social and gender categories, that was a big relief in many ways, because you know, it's hard to navigate social space where you have to explain who you are over and over again. That's one thing. So it's only a couple of years ago that I had a chance to do it. But again, given my past and my history, my experiences, this wasn't a big surprise for anyone. So I wouldn't really call it coming out or anything. It's just was redefining myself, being more specific. It was much more important actually to understand that actually, hey, I'm actually all right. You know, there's nothing wrong with me and nothing wrong with my identity. It's just something else, something different, something that is not completely present in our culture at the moment. I still don't think I completely belong, but that has different reasons. It has nothing to do with my identity. It has more about, like, with the specific configuration of LGBTQI+ communities in North America, where everybody has a box. And I believe that non-binary people don't really fit anywhere yet. And I'm not sure if they should fit anywhere. That's another question, like how much restraint can we carry, you know, by calling ourselves non-binary. But it's an interesting dynamic, because sometimes you feel like, hey, you're a part of everything, and then when it comes to specifics, sometimes it's kind of like, oh yeah, and there's a group of people we still need to include, but we don't really know how. The lack of understanding and aggression is the biggest challenge that probably a lot of queer people have to deal with. There was a lot of, and I'm not sure why it happens, because I'm not sure if I gave any reason or provoked any kind of aggressive behavior, but people felt entitled actually to show their superiority, to show their normalcy, to show how they belong to society or to a particular group, and I don't, to show that, you know, they're better than me because they happen to be, you know, normal, quote unquote, and that was like all the way since I was 12, pretty much into my 30s, I guess. And so that's one thing, and then lack of acceptance. It means that in many cases you become a label. Just like, okay, you're just that, and people expect you to do, to behave and be a specific way, while you may be kind kind of much broader than just a simple definition, and every person is much broader than a simple definition, and it's unfortunate that we have to deal with so much aggression and so much tokenizing. I often hear stereotypes. So like, oh, you're supposed to do this, or you just do that, and of course the negative stigma can poison your day. Questions about, so why am I, for instance, when we talk about my non-binary identity, like why don't I blend like different gender markers? And the thing is, like, your gender identity doesn't have to be directly related to your gender. It is important for some people. It was very important to me 20 years ago, when I was explicitly and aggressively unisex, so people didn't know how to address me, at the store or post office. So it was like, there was literally, like, gender was not clearly read, and that was a statement, because I was different, and it was my way to kind of, one, claim my territory and say I exist, and on the other hand, also kind of like to dismiss the norms, and there was a certain joy in that, I guess. But then again, this rebellious stage, I guess, that a lot of people go through in the youth. Now it's not as important to me, honestly. Like, the most common question is who I sleep with. Oh, you're non-binary, who you sleep with, who you date. That's basically like my answer is usually, are you available? And that kind of ends the conversation right there. But that's an interesting way, because people still want you to have like a clear path. So, homosexual people sleep with people of their own gender, heterosexual people sleep with, people of the opposite gender. But again, like, what is the opposite gender? Because there's more than two, right? So there's what is, like, the non-binary people, gender non-conforming people, people who want to conform, and fit into the binary system, and people who refuse to be the part of the binary system, people who come from cultures that actually completely deny it. And from that perspective, I'm not sure, how to define myself this way. And I guess queer is probably the best way to say that, like, hey, this is where we are and this is what I do. I think that my life and my dedication to community work, inclusion work, LGBTQI+ work, it shows resilience, and it shows that actually you can achieve things and you can help people through your work. I don't know, like, if I can give any advice, honestly, because life changes so much, and if we can be a little bit more sensitive to each other, kinder to each other, then probably we will become a little stronger. And a voice will be a little bit more present in all spheres of life, and in, not only social media during Pride Month, but all year round. And most importantly, we will have enough resources to help those who are in need. So we have less queer youth running away from home and becoming homeless. We have less problems with substance use. We have less problems with racism and sexism within LGBTQI communities. We have less aggression against trans people, especially trans women of color. We have less medical aggression against intersex people. So there's more and more and more, it's a big agenda, but I hope that at least we can start thinking about those issues and move